Taser level 7.
It looks like James Gunn has finally given fans an update about Batman in the DCU, but the interesting part is how cryptic his words were. He confirmed that things have changed when it comes to the Batman reboot, especially regarding Robin. That might sound like a clear answer, but really, it just opens up more questions than it answers. Still, whenever Gunn talks about Batman or the larger DC universe, it's worth paying attention because it gives us some hints about where the franchise is heading. On top of that, Gunn also shared something new about another big project, the dark superhero team-up movie, which has been quiet for months. Since both updates are pretty significant for DC's future, it's a good time to dive into what all this means. First, let's focus on Batman. Fans already know that DC Studios doesn't just rush into production without a script being locked in, so if plans have shifted, it likely means they're still working out the best way to tell the story. One possibility is that the studio is holding off on introducing Damian Wayne, Bruce Wayne's biological son, right at the start. The Brave and the Bold movie has been taking its time to develop, and that could be because they haven't figured out how Damian fits naturally into this new DC timeline. What we do know is that Batman already exists in the DCU timeline, even if we haven't seen him directly yet. Creature Commandos hinted at the presence of at least one Robin, but Gunn hasn't confirmed whether that's Damian or another boy wonder. It could be Tim Drake, who is another fan-favorite Robin and someone who might make sense for a reboot. If they go that route, Damian could still arrive later, once Bruce is established as a father figure and the story feels ready to explore that dynamic. Casting is another huge piece of this puzzle. Even though Batman is already active in this universe, Gunn hasn't locked down the character's age range. That makes sense because the age of Bruce Wayne determines how Damian would realistically fit into the picture. Gunn's carefully chosen words about things being in flux probably reflect how they're still figuring out exactly who this Batman should be, what stage of life he's in, and what that means for his supporting cast. Thinking about Gunn's comments, it's pretty clear DC Studios doesn't want to rush. There have already been so many live-action versions of Batman that the pressure to make this version stand out is massive. It's not just about telling another Batman story, it's about shaping one that fits into Gunn's larger rebooted DCU. And don't forget, Matt Reeves' The Batman universe is happening at the same time, so Gunn's version needs to stand on its own without feeling repetitive. That's probably why the studio is carefully considering every angle before moving forward. Even if Damian doesn't appear in the first film, there's no reason he can't show up later in the franchise. The Brave and the Bold could start by focusing on Bruce Wayne and whichever Robin makes sense for the opening chapter, and Damian could arrive once the audience is more invested in this version of Batman. If everything goes smoothly, we'll likely start to see clearer updates as 2025 wraps up. During an interview with IGN, Gunn was asked about casting Bruce Wayne and whether Damian was still part of the plan. His answers were interesting because he didn't give a straight yes or no. Instead, he emphasized that plenty of things were in flux. He also revealed that countless big-name actors have expressed interest in playing Batman. According to Gunn, it's actually harder to find actors who don't want the role, since Batman is one character nearly everyone in Hollywood dreams about playing. That shows just how important this casting decision is going to be. When pressed again about Damian's inclusion, Gunn simply told fans to wait and see. That suggests DC Studios wants to keep their options open. Damian might still be part of the story, but maybe not in the way people initially assumed. Gunn's vagueness could mean they're experimenting with different story directions to figure out what feels most authentic for this new cinematic universe. Now, while Batman gets most of the spotlight, Gunn also shared something fans have been waiting to hear for months: an update on The Authority. This project has been one of the trickiest DCU films to move forward since it was first announced back in January 2023. The Authority isn't a well-known team to general audiences, and making a film about obscure characters is always a bigger risk than adapting someone like Batman or Superman. That being said, there's been some movement. One of the Authority's members, Angela Spica, also known as the Engineer, was already introduced in Superman, with Maria Gabriela Di Faria cast in the role. That's a smart move, because it plants the seeds for the team in a larger, more familiar story. Back in February 2025, Gunn even admitted that The Authority was the hardest DCU project to get right, which makes sense given its complex tone and dark themes. But now, according to a recent interview with Deadline, Gunn revealed he's been talking with a really talented creator about The Authority. That suggests the project might finally be finding its direction. When asked if this meant the movie could become a TV show instead, Gunn didn't confirm or deny it. He simply said he wasn't going to reveal much, but he also hinted that it's harder to get audiences into theaters for characters they don't already know. That comment says a lot. It could mean DC Studios is seriously considering moving The Authority to television, where there's more time to develop these lesser-known characters without the box office pressure of a theatrical release. Reworking The Authority into a TV series wouldn't be the worst idea. Since the team has so many layers and darker storylines, a long-form format could actually serve them better than a 2-hour movie. It would allow audiences to connect with the characters and understand their morally gray world. Plus, DC has already lined up other shows like Lanterns, Waller, and Paradise Lost, so adding The Authority to that mix wouldn't feel out of place. It's also worth noting that other projects are experiencing delays too. Waller and Paradise Lost have been progressing slowly, and movies like Sergeant Rock just weren't ready to move forward. On the other hand, The Brave and the Bold and a Wonder Woman project are reportedly higher priorities right now. That gives some context as to why The Authority has been on the back burner. Still, Gunn's recent comments show that The Authority hasn't been abandoned. If anything, it might just be evolving into a form that works better for both the studio and audiences. That's actually encouraging because it means DC Studios is trying to make smart choices instead of pushing out projects before they're ready. The bigger picture here is that the DCU's Chapter 1, titled Gods and Monsters, is still being carefully pieced together. The Superman movie is set for 2025, along with Peacemaker Season 2. In 2026, fans will get Supergirl and Clayface. Lanterns will premiere on HBO as well. Beyond that, we know about Man of Tomorrow in 2027 and The Batman Part 2, but plenty of other projects are still in different stages of development. It's a big slate, and balancing well-known heroes with lesser-known ones is going to be a challenge. To wrap it up, Gunn's updates on both Batman and The Authority highlight how much thought DC Studios is putting into this reboot. On the Batman side, it's about making sure the character feels fresh and distinct from past versions, while still fitting into the larger DCU. On the Authority side, it's about finding the right format and timing to introduce a team that most audiences haven't heard of. Both cases show that Gunn is willing to adapt plans when necessary, which is probably a good sign for the long-term health of the franchise. So even though things are still a bit uncertain, one thing is clear: DC Studios is taking its time to get this right. Batman will eventually step into the spotlight, with or without Damian Wayne at first, and The Authority will find its place in the DCU, whether on the big screen or small. Fans just have to be patient as the pieces come together. Well, that's it for today. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel, because we'll be covering more updates on this soon and other exciting upcoming movies and series. We'll see you next time.